Okay, it's 5:30 p.m. I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Do roll call. Mrs. Hardin. Vice President Heredia is unable to be here. I'm here. Secretary Terrazas.
Here.
And Mr. Guadiana.
Here.
Okay, that moves us to item C, board norms. Item 1, actively listen to all perspectives.
Close the loop, responding to concerns and questions as a unified board.
Model the professionalism we expect from all members of the community, of the district and community, customer service orientation.
Positive intent.
And number 5, be positive and responsive. Everyone could please stand for Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico to be a symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures.
Moves us to item 2, adoption of the agenda. I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we adopt the agenda as presented.
Do I have a second? Okay, go ahead.
I don't know how this got into being an executive session without the board participating in that decision. Secondly, for the purposes of transparency, the exclusion of public is a wrong signal we should send, even though this is for an interim position. And lastly, how can we include in the agenda the possible selection when we haven't even put requests for people to submit letters of interest? So we don't even know what the pool is going into this meeting.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your comment. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify, or I'll do a roll call. Mrs. Hardin?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Mr. Terrazas?
Yes.
Mr. Guadiana?
No.
Okay, we still have 3-1 to go into executive session. So we are now in executive session. I'm sorry, we are now adopting the agenda. I'm sorry, excuse me. That moves us to item 3, public input. Item A, agenda items. Is there anyone that'd like to give public input on agenda items? Anyone online, Caitlin? Okay, any public input for item B, items of concern? Okay. That moves us to item 4, executive session. Executive session notice is hereby given so that the Cobre Board of Education will meet in executive session for the following purposes as permitted under Section 10-15-1H2 of the New Mexico Opens Meeting Act, limited personnel matters specifically to item 1, discuss potential qualified individuals to serve as interim superintendent. I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Okay, is there a second? All right, I'll go ahead and do a roll call vote. Mrs. Hardin?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Mr. Terrazas?
Yes.
Mr. Guadiana?
No.
Okay, we still have the quorum. We are now in executive session at 5:34 p.m. Are we good to go? Okay. Okay, item number 5, reconvene in the open session at the conclusion of executive session for statement affirming that no action was taken in executive session and that discussions were limited to the items listed in the agenda for executive session. I'll entertain a motion to come back into open session.
So,
Do I have a second? All right. We'll do a roll call vote. Mrs. Harden? Myself, yes. Mr. Terrazas?
yes.
Mr. Guadiana?
Yes.
Okay. We are back in open session at 5:46 PM. Okay, that moves us to item 6, action items. I believe there's no action needed on item 1.
It's what we're going to discuss, the solicitation for people with letters of interest.
I'd like to go to item 2 if possible. I think we'd cover that in item 2.
Okay, the item 2 only has to do with the filling of the superintendent vacancy. And
I'd like to focus on the part of selecting a search consultant for a superintendent, an interim superintendent search.
because that's not on the agenda.
The search consultant is,
Search consultant for superintendent search. The number 1 is the one that has to do with the interim superintendent.
I mean, I'd like to, okay, we could discuss it in item 1 then. I'd like to talk to our search consultant. So I don't know if everyone got a chance to read the proposal from Dr. Veronica Garcia. Okay. Do you guys mind if I get her on the phone so we can ask her any questions? Okay.
This is Veronica.
Hi, Dr. Garcia. My name is Gabrielle Begay. I'm with Cobre Consolidated Board of Education.
Yes, ma'am.
So we are here at our board meeting. We are in open session. I do have you on my cell phone.
Oh, okay.
We do have some other board members here. Board member Angelina Harden, myself, Secretary David Terrazas, and then one of our members, Mr. Guadiana. So we did take a look at your proposal, and so they asked that I get you on the phone so we could ask some questions of you.
Okay.
Are you
Get myself situated.
okay?
I'm working my way up to my office. Give me just 30 seconds, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Because I want to pull it up on the computer.
Okay,
Hold on 1 minute.
okay.
Okay, I have the document up, so I'm ready to stand for any questions you might have.
Okay, would anyone like to go first?
Do we have to do an in-house first, or do we go ahead and just go with your proposal?
I don't understand the question.
The interim superintendent, do we have to do that in-house, or can we just go ahead and do it with your consultation?
I think she's asking, is it better to go in-house with someone or with the way you conduct things?
Oh, it's your preference. I mean, if you wanted to appoint somebody interim, is council there with you?
No, I can actually get counsel on the line though, too.
Yeah, I would, that's a good question for Elena.
Okay.
I think that you can choose to do whatever you want. If you have somebody internally that you want to appoint, I think it's the board prerogative, but I can't give you legal advice. So I would get Elena online too, or I can connect her as well. It's up to you.
No, I'll connect her. One of the questions I had is, have you done this for other districts? And if so, what's the turnaround time?
Well, it depends on how quickly you're moving.
Oh, I put her on hold.
Hey, Gabby.
Hi, Elena, I have you on one line and then Dr. Garcia on the other line.
Okay.
So
I
I'm,
wasn't able to get it on the stream. I thought I had it linked. Yeah. Okay.
so
that works.
I'm going to merge the calls, okay?
Okay. So are you in open or executive?
We are in open session.
Okay. Okay. I understand you want a quick turnaround.
Sorry about that, Dr. Garcia. We lost you for a quick second. And we do have our legal counsel, Elena Gallegos, also on the line. Okay. Elena, Angelina had a question about appointing someone in-house or going with Dr. Garcia's search. Are you able to hear me, Elena? Looks like we lost her.
I mean, I'm pretty sure it is your prerogative, you know. If you
No,
want to.
it is our prerogative. Would you mind calling Elena on your phone?
But back to your question, I just did Santa Fe, and we had, but I did it because I'm employed right there now, and but it was a much larger process. My understanding is that you're wanting to try to get somebody appointed as quickly as possible. So if, we get together, we get the job description and get it posted, say by Monday, if we can, or as soon as we can get it posted. I don't know how long it'll take you to execute a contract with me if that's who you want to go with. Then I can also make phone calls to other retired superintendents, because my understanding is you want somebody experienced who's willing to take a short-term position. And you can do it to advertise again. Is that correct?
Yes, I think as a board, we do want someone that
Right.
has experience.
Now, obviously, if you have people in-house that you would be happy with, you don't need to do a search. You would just go on, just go on about that would be great. It's up to you, really. But we can, so then, depending on how quickly we get applicants and when you want to close it, then, obviously, I would look at their references, but I like to call people that they've worked with as well, not only the people that they give you as references, kind of look at the social media kind of footprint that they have, and vet them that they do meet the qualifications, and then provide you a packet with all your applicants. Now, if you want more support with questions and that sort of thing, I'm happy to do that. But my job is to bring you, some viable applicants for an interim position.
Okay. And can you just tell us your qualifications? It's my understanding you're a retired superintendent as well as the first ever PED secretary?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I've been working in education or education-related areas, or in policy, or in hiring staff for probably over 50 years. And I'm well versed in, HR policies and procedures. I worked started off as a teacher, was a coordinator of special education, assistant director. That was in the Albuquerque Public Schools. We had over 30,000 students there. Was principal of New Futures, principal of Rio Grande High School, associate superintendent in Santa Fe. I had about 45 schools and about 30,000 students. I hired all the principals in my area. At that time, I think I had about 20 that we had to fill and AP positions. I was associate superintendent in Santa Fe in the mid-90s, early 2000s, and then I was superintendent there again in 2016 to 2021. And also as Secretary of Education, I've hired, I can't tell you, countless numbers of people, and I helped with back with grants when they hired Colino Marcus. I led that search as well. I know all the components. I know the law. I know what we need to be compliant. To keep you out of trouble, make sure that we're following the right processes when advertising and hiring staff.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to see if there's any other board members that have questions. Anyone else?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Mr. Guadiana.
In your previous searches, do you still have a sense of there being anybody that's would be likely to be interested in this position?
Would I know of somebody who might? Well, no. I mean, people, when they typically you advertise and then people just start submitting their applications. It's rare for somebody to just contact me directly. If they do, I just let them know the process. I would imagine, we'll look at together, whoever, if you assigned a member of the board or two members of the board to work with me, I don't know how you want to do it, to have the minimum and preferred qualifications and what the salary is. You would give me a copy of the job description and the terms of employment. Is it going to be, 3 months or till a new superintendent is hired? So all of that, they need to know, is this just temporary or is it for a few months or what you're looking at with the hope of, I'm understanding is you want to hire somebody during this coming school year, right?
Yes, that's what we're hoping for.
That's your goal. And my understanding is you wanted somebody with some experience with HR and finance.
Yes.
So that would be a focus, with expertise in those areas. With probably preferred would be a superintendent position would be preferred, possibly. If you want somebody experienced, usually for a short term like this, given the time frame, probably somebody who's retired might be more interested than someone who's going to give up a job for only a few months, right? But there might be somebody like that who thinks, I'm going to do such a great job, they're going to want to keep me. So you never know, right?
Right.
And so I think I lost I think you asked me, do they reach out? Typically they just apply or they'll want to have a clarification about something in the posting.
Okay.
Excuse me, but really the gist of the question, maybe it was poorly stated, was in hopes to you having people that are actively looking that might be interested in applying for this, at least for the interim.
Yeah, I don't, I'm not like a headhunter, okay? So if you hire a headhunter firm, usually people submit their resumes, and then the headhunter is just looking where they can place them, okay? So I'm not a headhunter in that respect. I do have a list of people that are recently retired that, we can send the application to. We'll make sure that it's posted in NMCEL at New Mexico REAP and on your website. Now, And I understand you don't want a national search, right? You don't want it posted at AASA or anything like that, correct? You want it just advertised in New Mexico?
I think at this point, we want someone that's interim for a year. That's what I'm envisioning, so we can do a bigger search for a
So
more
then you want
permanent.
somebody so then you're looking at someone for a year. And, I mean, we
And
don't have to.
that's just me speaking as a single board member. I'm not speaking on behalf of the board, but that's my.
You guys, yeah, I understand that you guys will work that out. My hope is that maybe you will assign somebody or assign 2 board members perhaps to work with me on the posting. I mean, I could write something for you, but then get your input that meets your needs. I would imagine that we will work with people on your staff to, do the post, pay for the ads, right? That sort of thing, and get it posted. And then the question is, if you want the applications to go to the district or you want them to come directly to me. So, those kinds of things we can work out. Now, I can also, there is just a cadre of people that have finished the Aspiring Superintendent's Academy, and they might be interested, but they may not have the level of experience in HR and finance that a retired superintendent would have, if that is of special importance to you.
President Begay?
Yes, I'm sorry, Dr. Garcia. Elena's going to say something. Go ahead, Elena.
If I may, just to sort of provide just some quick sort of points that I think are going to need to be clarified here. If Dr. Garcia is going to proceed and is going to post the position, is that there's basically like 2 ways to structure an interim superintendent contract. One, and by state law, you have to spell out a duration for a licensed administrator. And so obviously you'd have your start date, and Dr. Garcia is aware that the prior superintendent, you've accepted his resignation, and it was with a 30-day notice. So that's gonna come quickly at this point. So the start date hopefully will be, I can't remember now, I blanked out whether it's June 8th or June 9th. But then the end date, you have 2 choices. You could commit to a full year, a full fiscal year, and have the end date be June 30th, 2026. If you do that, then you're going to get a pool of people that are comfortable with joining your team, knowing that they're not going to be without a job after 3 months, basically. That's one type of recruitment. But if your goal is to have the interim only be an interim until you can complete a search, then the other way to structure the interim contract is that you have an out clause that the outer date is the end of the next fiscal year, but that it will also conclude when you name a new superintendent. So that could be 2 months from now, that could be 3 months from now, that could be 5 months from now, or that could be at the outer date of June 30th, 2026. So if you're wanting that, it's going to be a different pool. And that's why, this conversation about experience or possibly a retired educator is that those are going to be your most likely people who, A, have the experience to be good stewards of your district while you're doing a search. They're also going to be people that are fine with them not being the one that gets named ultimately, because they're going to be happy to go back to their retirement. And they're going to be fine with usually they're going to be fine with that uncertainty of that end date. So if that's what you want, that is going to look different than, no, let's commit to a year. Let's do it. Let's give them the entire fiscal year, and we'll make sure that when we recruit for the ultimate position, that the start date on that is July 1st, the next fiscal year. And again, that could affect the crop of people that you attract, but those are two different kinds of arrangements.
I like arrangement number 2. At the conclusion of appointing a superintendent after a search.
I agree.
So which version do you like? I'm not clear.
We like version 2.
The portion where the end date can be
When you
stated.
wanna
it-
do-
it-
yeah,
it can-
yeah. Okay.
But,
Yeah, and
but
that was my sense from you all, and so, I just want to be clear that when doctors, like for example, National Search, you're not going to have someone probably that's willing to relocate to Cobre if that job could end in 3 or 4 months. So I think when you talk about National Search, you're talking about for the ultimate position of superintendent. And so then between now and then, again, you're going to be probably focusing on a profile of a person. You want someone good. You want someone who's going to be a good steward of your district. You're going to be looking at probably a profile of a person who, isn't invested in the security of this is their professional home, and is willing to come with experience, give that experience, hopefully even help build your foundation for whoever then you name as superintendent.
Okay, and I think Gilbert had something else to add. Go ahead, Mr. Guadiana.
I just wanted to clarify, when we said, to set the end date, but then to have that option that if it's filled, if we find if the search is successful before that, then that would become the end date.
Yes, that's correct. That's
Okay.
how I draft those.
Okay.
We have to by law have an end date. So I usually recommend the end of the fiscal year, but then I have other exit circumstances, and one of them with an interim is that the board names the superintendent.
Okay.
Thank you.
So that end date could be, instead of June 30th, it could be December 31st.
So Dr. Garcia, you said it's typically 1 or 2 board members that you communicate with in order to get the salary timeline. Is that due to us having a board meeting, so we're as a board to make those decisions due to timeline constraints?
Well, what I was referring to, we want to get the posting done as soon as possible with the preferred and minimum requirements. What kind of experience you're looking for. Do you want someone who's bilingual? Do you want someone who, is preferred that they have a doctorate or not? Do you prefer someone that has experience in the southwest part of the state, expertise in HR or finance, whatever? And then I get the ad written. It would be nice to be able to show it to a couple of you, so that now I can, individually talk to you, but it's just nice to have, like, some people pick the president and vice president. Some people, based on time, you might say person X and person Y on the board would be my contact, because you don't want to be having to put a meeting together every time, that you talk to me or we have a choice point on some matters. So that was my suggestion, but it's however you want to do it, up to you.
Yeah, and President McGay, if I may just jump in on the legal piece of that.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to be clear that she can't poll the board members, so all 5 board members. And so appointing a committee for the things that you all need it seems to me that with the time frame you all are operating in, the most important thing that needs to happen right away is the posting, the job posting. And so either the board tonight sits here and figures out all of its criteria, or they delegate that to a committee that's less than the quorum. And that could be, 1 or 2 individuals, as Dr. Garcia indicated. But what she can't do is she can't poll all 5 of you and try and achieve a consensus. That would be a rolling quorum, or polling,
Right,
an illegal
right.
polling of the board.
Okay.
Not a rolling quorum, but an illegal polling of the board.
And then, Elena, this is a question that came up on action items. Mr. Guadiana had said that item 2, to hire a search consultant, it says for superintendent search. It's I think everyone's understanding that it's an interim superintendent search.
Yeah, and I'm not concerned from an OMA standpoint because in my view, even 6.1, possible action related to appointment of an interim superintendent, the action could be to accept the proposal from Comprehensive Consulting Services LLC to perform the search. So 6.1 alone is enough, and that uses the word interim superintendent. You're right. I did leave out the word interim, but to me, superintendent search is what she's doing. We're talking about the duration right now, and it's an interim duration. But I'm not. Whether you take the action under 6.1 or you take the action under 6.2, or you take it under both. Actions are intended to apprise the public of possible outcomes, and I'm comfortable with you all taking action to select a consulting firm to assist you in the search under either action item 1 or action item 2. And if you feel more comfortable taking it under 1 rather than 2, or just doing it together, I view us right now as talking about both 6.1 and 6.2.
Okay. Does anyone have any other questions?
I do.
Go ahead, Mr. Guadiana.
The selection of Dr. Garcia, I'm not opposed to that. However, I am concerned that this isn't being put out for any other interested parties to participate in. And we know one, I know one, John Bash, who already knows the district very well. And it would be nice, I think it would be prudent for us to follow, and I'm not sure if this is a violation necessarily of the procurement code where you just use one vendor without putting it out. So does this meet the criteria for procurement?
Did you hear that, Elena?
Yeah, so you would definitely have to go out for RFP if it was going to exceed 60K. But this is considered a small purchase based on her quote. And of course, it's a range, but I don't know your local financing requirements, and so that I would have to defer to Frank and to Mr. Corey. Because some districts do have local criteria that you also have to satisfy. And so that's a good question. I don't have the answer, but as a small purchase, you don't have to go out for RFP or competitive bid, and this is absolutely a small purchase.
Mr. Corey just said it's the same, the 60K for local.
Okay,
Yeah.
All right. So then you guys basically follow the state standard. So you would be in a position then, based on Mr. Corey's input, to approve this tonight.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? There's no other questions.
The remaining question is, how do we go forward with making the criteria for the announcement?
Well, that's what she just said. We can discuss that tonight, or the board can appoint 2 people to work with Dr. Garcia. So what does everyone think?
We should work on it tonight. We're 2 people making decision for the board it's inappropriate. No board member should have that kind of authority, or 2 have that kind of authority. It should be the majority of the board.
How do you feel about that, David and Angelina? We could come up with criteria tonight, or we could appoint 2 people to form a committee to work on the guidelines.
I would recommend that you go ahead and make a motion on the one thing you talked about, which I think is probably a really important guideline that kind of provides then a framework for all the other guidelines, and that's a motion to post the position. I'm trying to think out loud, but position as an interim position that would end no later than June 30th, 2026, and earlier earlier if the board names a superintendent.
Okay,
So, I mean, that, again, she's not going to, this isn't a contract term, but it allows her to then form all the other criteria around the notion that this is not a long-term hire. And so that's going to, again, affect who you draw, and it's going to affect some of the other criteria.
Okay.
So I think if you make that motion tonight, you've narrowed it. Dr. Garcia, are there any other like key criterion that you can think of that would kind of take some? I mean, I understand Mr. Guadiana's concern of wanting the board to have maximum input. Some of them are just details that anybody can answer. Like, for example, one of the things Dr. Garcia asked me is, do you all have teacherage? Well, that's something that if you delegate it to, board president, she's not going to offer a teacherage if it doesn't exist. So some of this stuff is the sort of more like housekeeping stuff that I think is reasonable to delegate. But Dr. Garcia, are there like big questions that if this board could knock this out tonight, everything else is more of the nature of housekeeping?
Well, I mean, I think what are your minimum qualifications and and preferred, right? And so obviously we know that there's some things that are non-negotiable. They have to be licensed administrators. A minimum requirement would be a master's degree. Is preferred a doctorate, or are you okay with just a master's?
And if I can jump in again, based on the framework you all have given, and my sense of what you're looking for, you want to see what the market will produce. So I don't know if you need a minimum that's overly restrictive. Obviously, they have to have that license, and Dr. Garcia would know how to write that. That you don't need to decide tonight because they have to be minimally qualified by state law. But the preferred, given what you're trying to recruit and look for, as expressed tonight, seems to be that the preferred would be experience as a superintendent.
are they
Is
not?
that a preferred
Yeah.
that you could make a motion on tonight?
I think so. I think, yes, that's something we can make a motion on. Should we make a motion to accept Dr. Garcia as our search consultant first, so she knows that we have selected her?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, if you're going to work on some of these key motions tonight, I think it's appropriate to make a decision on whether, and I'm looking at her proposal, and it says as Comprehensive Consulting Services LLC. So if you want to make that motion now, I think it would be motion to accept a proposal from Comprehensive Consulting Services LLC to assist with the search with terms, or you could say in compliance with the procurement code, so that once she works with the business and finance, obviously anything they generate would need to comply with the procurement code. So,
Okay.
Motion to accept proposal from Comprehensive Consulting Services LLC to assist with the search, the interim superintendent search,
Okay.
consistent or in compliance with the New Mexico Procurement Code.
Okay.
So there would be a second motion that would draw the criteria for the posting?
Yeah, at this point, I think we're
Okay.
looking at least two, yes.
So I'd like to make a motion to accept the proposal from Comprehensive Consulting Services LLC in compliance with the New Mexico procurement code, or in compliance with the procurement code tonight. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign.
I abstain.
What was that?
I abstain.
Okay, so it's a three, we still have a majority. Mr. Guadiana was an abstention. Okay, so based on that, Dr. Garcia, it looks like we want to move forward with you with our search. And then I think as a board tonight, we want to go over some of the criteria. Are you guys okay with that? Angelina, David?
The one thing I wanted to add to the criteria is to have preferred financial background. And again, as a preferred, not a
Can we
requirement.
start by making a motion on the duration?
Oh, yeah.
Since you all have already talked about that, so we don't forget to make a motion on that.
So I'd like to make a motion for the duration of the interim superintendent to have an end date of June 30th, 2026. However, when we name a superintendent, that is when the contract date would end.
So, or earlier if the board names the superintendent.
Or earlier if the board names a superintendent. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, that one is taken care of.
Okay, and I believe the next one was that the preferred motion, that the preferred qualification be experience as a superintendent.
Yes. So I'm going to make a motion that we prefer someone who has had experience as a superintendent and has a master's degree. Do I have a second?
Can I just clarify, a master's degree is required, so that would be like preferred, that's the minimum.
Okay, I apologize.
No, don't need to apologize, I was just clarifying.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion that they've had experience as a superintendent.
As a preferred qualification.
Yes, as a preferred qualification.
I'm thinking.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. I'd also like to make a motion to have someone who has experience in finance and HR as a preferred qualification. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign.
May I ask for clarification?
Yes, ma'am.
So experience in managing, experience in supervising, because you might have a superintendent who has experience working with finance, but has not been a CFO. Or you might have a superintendent who has experience also supervising HR, but has not been an HR person. It's a subtle, but it is a distinction.
I'd say supervising so we don't get so caught up in the nitty gritty. But that's just me speaking. I don't know about the rest of the board.
I think having that on board, trying to give them an idea of areas that we need specific attention to.
Focus, right, I
Yeah.
got it. But the way it was stated, it's just got to be careful. But I know that we're not asking for someone to have been a CFO, but rather have knowledge, hands-on experience in managing budget and finance,
Yes,
That's right.
for example. Okay,
that's
gotcha.
correct. Dr. Garcia, I know this might be an issue for our area, is housing. Does this sometimes come up in other searches that you're conducting?
Well, you can put that is something, we haven't talked about a salary range, but
Okay.
what, is that something that will be offered or not?
What is everyone's thought?
Where are we with the housing that we're hoping to have?
It can be ready in time. We're in the middle of the CDS contract right now.
I think,
What was just said? I'm sorry. Again, there may be legal implications. I want to understand. Do you all have Petrishes?
no, but I'm saying like one of our stipulations before on other previous contracts has been that they reside in the Cobre district. And
Right. Well,
that's,
and here again, I would caution you. You just passed a motion that preferred, or a motion that the end date would be when you pick a superintendent. And so, if you're going to get a retired person who is not making a commitment to your community long term, because you don't want a commitment from them long term, it's going to be hard to insist that they short term live in your district.
no, that's
going to narrow your pool.
That's what I'm saying, that we don't need that clause, that they at least can find housing within Grant County. But I'm saying that housing is an issue for our community. People have had a hard time finding housing within our community. People that come to work here.
I have had a situation in one of my districts where they literally had to get like one of those, like Airbnb type situation, or those hotel, the long-term stay hotels. I don't know if in the larger area, including Silver, but in that situation that I had, where there was difficulty with housing and there was no Petridge, the board did offer a housing allowance. So again, that could affect your pool. I'm not suggesting it one way or another, but it could expand your pool if you provide a housing allowance because of the short-term nature of it.
What does everyone think?
I like the idea of a housing bill.
I like it too.
And you don't have to specify what the allowance would be. That could be negotiated. But if you wanted to include, possible or housing allowance negotiable or something like that, then that gives you time also to figure out, what might be a reasonable housing allowance. I don't know, Dr. Garcia, you may have a different opinion about that, but I don't know that we need to hammer out the exact allowance
I
because
think
this is
it's
a
an
contract
enticement.
negotiation.
I think it's an enticement just to say that housing allowance negotiable as a benefit along with the salary. Do you have a salary range?
Do we have a salary range? I'm trying to look up our salary schedule. Dr. Garcia, I wouldn't even know where to start with that.
I don't remember what that amount was.
I'm on.
Up to that amount, or is there a range that you want to offer? That is an important one.
I'd say the amount that's currently being offered. I'm trying to pull up that contract too. I'm on our website.
Yeah, I can go back and look it up. But so you want to pay that amount, just that amount, or you want to go a little below to that amount, or a little below that, above that amount? Are you going to offer a range, or are you just going to offer a flat salary?
The range.
Could we offer a range?
Dr. Garcia, is it okay to just say up to? Is that a sufficient range so that we don't have to debate the floor?
Yeah.
And I'm sure that will in large part depend on their experience as far as the floor. So is up to adequate to be able to post this quick post?
I'm kind of worried about not having a minimum.
Okay. Then what would you say is the floor?
Well, I'm trying to look up what the current superintendent's salary was.
Yeah, let's look that up.
Yeah, I'm on our website too, trying to find that.
Yeah.
He's here.
right here.
I
What'd
mean,
you
he's
ask
in the
him?
room. Can he help? Just tell me.
Top of my head, it's either 138 or 149.
He said off the top of his head, it's either 138 or 141.
So maybe today between 130 and 140, 135 and 140.
I'd say between 130 and 140, but I don't know what the rest of the board thinks.
And housing?
Yeah, I'm more inclined to go something like between 120 and 130.
And
And
housing?
then housing allowance.
Yeah, but that's only going to be for 2 months, maybe 3. That's the idea, is that, yeah, we could go farther down. I'm fine with that too. You want to go down to 115 to 125?
And I think if you go 2 months below what the current superintendent is making, I'm not sure if it's on HR and finance. And coming in terms of not necessarily easier.
Okay, I'm just going to relay what you said because one of our board members couldn't hear you. She said she's afraid that if we go too far below what's listed on the website, that might, people may not apply. And so the current salary right now of our superintendent is 141. So can you speak a little bit louder? I didn't hear that.
I said it appears reasonable because take the logo online where the current superintendent is making that, between 130 and 140 seems reasonable. If you get somebody, you might get retired superintendents that have a tremendous amount of experience or that have, other credentials. And so I wouldn't go too low if you want to just not go beyond what you're currently paying. That seems like a reasonable range, 130 to 140.
Okay, I'm good with that. How does everyone feel about that?
I like that.
Housing can also be negotiated.
Housing allowance.
Housing allowance can be negotiated. Do I have a second?
Awesome.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I
Opposed, same sign. Okay,
And then the standard necessary benefits, do you provide a cell phone, do you provide a vehicle or not, laptops and that kind of thing, stuff, I would imagine, right?
that's what is currently offered is the
Yeah.
district cell phone, the use of a school vehicle, and then the standard benefits.
And do you provide a laptop as well?
Yes.
Okay, so just the basic stuff. Okay, so that's simple enough. There's basic characteristics, that we're always looking for in superintendents, right? Someone that is able, well, first of all, is there any kind of language requirement, or not requirement, but preferred bilingual, or having had experience working in the southwest part of the state? Anything of that would be specific to your area, working, in terms of intergovernmental or tribal, experience working with schools with certain populations, anything like that you want added?
President McGay, may I jump in on this?
Sure.
Just because I've been, working with your district on its current issues, and I would discourage you all on the interim from distracting from the number one priorities, which are experience, so that you've got a good caretaker of the district for a short period of time. And then finance and HR. And I think that if you add a lot of other preferred characteristics that you might want to actually reserve for the superintendent position, you might dilute those 3 things that I think are for the interim position the most important. Now, if you get 30 applicants, you can, look at the other things that are more important to you as you select among those 30 applicants. But I think my sense of where the board was at is wanting to get as full a pool as possible, but within it's your greatest priorities. So I would just remind you again that what you're looking for is an interim right now, and I would encourage you to just stay focused on your highest priorities and identify those in the posting.
Okay.
An experience, HR and finance, and how many years of experience, admin experience are you hoping minimum?
Well, their preferred is superintendent
Preferred.
experience.
Super.
No, how many years as a superintendent?
Oh,
Could we say 3 or more? Does that really narrow the field of applicants? Dr. Garcia?
Oh, I don't know if you were asking Elena or me. Well, I mean, I think district level admin experience would be helpful, and there I would go higher, like maybe 3 to 5. And also for the superintendent experience, if you're wanting someone who can caretake and move it forward and help with HR and finance, I think 3 years, also would be not asking for the moon. Especially if you want somebody who can come in and just, pick up and keep it on course. But I was hired as interim. I had budget that I needed to do and help with the search and, keep the ship steady. And so if these, as council said, those are your 3 main areas. And then if you don't, it's your preferred superintendent, or was that a minimum?
I think that should be a minimum. I don't know what everyone else thinks.
Then if it is minimum superintendent, then I would say 3 years.
Okay, I'm good with that. Is everyone else good with that?
Yep.
yeah. I do think that changes the motion, so you might want to remake that motion, because I thought that it was preferred when the motion was made for superintendent experience. Was that motion made, or did I just dream it?
No, that motion was made.
Yeah, I think it was motion that the
Superintendent experience was preferred.
Experience as a superintendent.
So I'd like to make a motion that we put at least 3 years experience in the superintendent role. Do I
As
have
preferred or as minimum?
as minimum?
I second that.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Okay. And then Dr. Garcia, do you want me to go ahead and do the motion for the laptop and district vehicle, the things you mentioned earlier?
If you all are comfortable with the benefits as stated in the current superintendent's contract, the employee benefits, you could just do a motion that Dr. Garcia can incorporate as appropriate the benefits, the employee benefits as listed in the current superintendent contract. I don't have the contract in front of me, but from what you all were describing, it sounds like your perception is that it's in that current contract.
So I'd like to make a motion to allow Dr. Garcia to use what is currently written in the superintendent's contract in terms of benefits to apply to the interim superintendent search. Did I encompass it all, Elena?
Yeah, in fact, I actually just found it. I didn't realize I had it. It's paragraph 12 is use school district equipment and professional memberships. Paragraph 11 is use of vehicles reimbursement. Paragraph 13 is professional activities. So those 3 paragraphs speak to benefits. So I think your motion is fine. If you all are comfortable with the benefits that are reflected in the current superintendent's contract, I think that motion works.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Okay,
To be clear, for advertising on your website and the 2 that I mentioned here in New Mexico.
yes, the ones in your proposal.
Okay. Do you need a motion for that, Elena?
They accepted your proposal. Let me look at how you worded it in the proposal.
The advertisements will be posted with NM,
So I
CEO.
think by accepting your proposal, that's you're authorized to proceed with. Yeah, you say it definitively. The advertisement will be posted with. So yes, they've approved that.
And I don't know if it needs to have a motion or not. I don't think that are you all part of New Mexico REAP?
Yes, we are.
There might be, if you are, then there won't be a charge. If you're not, then there will be a charge. I think NMCEL does it for free.
We are part of New Mexico REAP. Our superintendent just informed us.
Then we'll get it posted and your HR will need to send it as from your district, right? Because I can't post, I mean, I can write it for you, but then they will post it. I'm trying to think if there's any question on that. So there's, just basic, information about the district that I can pull. And then, there's just, typical, strong communication skills, written skills, interpersonal. There's some basic things that if you will give me the liberty to write, I don't know if that's where I go back of selecting somebody to at least look at what I wrote to make sure you're okay with what I post. It's a question that I still have. And how long do you want to post it for? Until filled, or do you want an end date?
I think 2 weeks
From the time we post it.
of the
Okay.
time we posted. That's my recommendation. I don't know about everyone else. To fill the interim. I mean, in the post.
Oh, okay.
2 weeks to go out for advertisement.
Okay. And
So I guess I should make a motion. I'd like to make a motion that the posting be up for 2 weeks from the date it is posted. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign.
do you want the applications to go to your HR department, or do you want them
Can you say that last part again? We lost you a little.
Do you want the application to go to the HR department, or do you want them to send to me?
I think I'd prefer them sent to Dr. Garcia. Do you guys want them sent to HR?
No.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that applications be sent to Dr. Garcia
And that she forward them to us.
and that she forward them to the board.
Yeah, I will get you a whole packet of all the applications.
Okay.
I want to talk to you about that in a second, but yes, you will get everything in one big packet.
Okay, let us just do our, since I made a motion. Do I have a second? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, go ahead, Dr. Garcia.
Thank you. Are you looking at a letter of interest, a resume, and 3 references?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'd like to make a motion that applicants provide us with a letter of interest, a current resume, and 3 references. Do I have a second?
Discussion?
I'm sorry, discussion.
Could we add work history if it's not, so it's, I understand the resume, but work history is specific so it doesn't leave out any engagements?
I couldn't hear exactly.
Mr. Guadiana said that should we include work experience?
That should be in your that'll be in the resume.
Yeah, I understand.
I can list that
Dr.
in the ad.
This is Alana. Will you be using the district's application form itself in addition to these 3 things? Because that may already include the work history. Like, is there a form that they fill out in addition to letter of interest, resume, and references, or Will you just?
The resume typically has their work experience. If they do have their own application, then it's going to go through HR. And then
Okay. Then never mind. Okay. So then it might be wise to spell out the expectation that the resume include work experience.
Right.
So
People only put references with people that are going to give them good letters, right? And we do check, but we also ask to provide the last three supervisors and their contact info. And so I think that also will be helpful.
okay, so I'd like to amend my motion. I'm sorry, we have a motion and a second, so I'll call for the vote. But I intend to amend my motion. So all those in favor of the motion that was on the table and there was a second, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed? Aye. Okay, so I'd like to amend my motion to have a resume that lists work experience, a current resume, a letter of interest, and then 3 references, and then 3 previous supervisors.
Right, and I guess also proof of licensure.
And proof of licensure. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay.
So now it seems like, unless someone can think of another area that's big, we're down to housekeeping, and I'm trying to imagine ways to deal with it so it doesn't hold the process up. So one way in terms of housekeeping is to name one person or 2 people for Dr. Garcia to be able to consult with regarding miscellaneous items or housekeeping items. The other thing that you might want to do along with that to help build your confidence that, and trust might be to authorize Dr. Garcia to make professional decisions regarding, because all we're talking about right now is the posting, is to make professional decisions to ensure that the posting is consistent with standards in the industry.
Okay.
Professional decisions consistent, that the posting, for her to make professional decisions regarding the posting consistent with standards in the industry.
So I'd like to make a motion to give Dr. Garcia the opportunity to make decisions based on current industry practices. Did I encompass that right, Elena?
I think it might help in terms of just the trust factor. My suggestion is authorize Dr. Garcia to make professional decisions consistent with standards in the industry regarding the posting.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to authorize Dr. Garcia. I'm sorry, Elena.
That's all right. To make professional decisions. You can just say so moved if you want, but to make
professional decisions
consistent with standards in the industry when preparing the posting.
Consistent with industry standards in the posting.
Yeah.
Do I have a second? Okay,
Discussion.
Any discussion?
Can we put in there that they can make changes to fit the industry standards with the exception of those, the criteria that we're establishing now?
Oh, yeah, she can't contradict the actions you've taken. This does not allow her to do that.
Okay.
No, you all have taken action. She has no discretion on the items that you take an action on.
Okay.
So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. As for housekeeping, I don't know if you guys are okay with me taking care of housekeeping.
I'd like to be the second person then.
No one else would like to be the second person?
I mean, I have a little bit of experience, but just don't have the time right now.
Okay. President and Vice President. Can we make that choice? I think so.
And that's one thing that Dr. Garcia that she used previously, president and vice president.
Was that typical, Dr. Garcia?
I'm having difficulty hearing everybody who's further away from your phone. Was the question typically the president and vice president?
Yes, that was the question.
Yes, yes. And it can be whomever you choose. But typically, yes.
Okay, then I'd like to make a motion for strictly housekeeping for me as board president and board vice president Heredia to work with Dr. Garcia.
I second that.
Okay. Any discussion?
I think the selections made put two people that share the same ideas and don't offer any range of discussion that could lead to better decisions.
I'd just like to mention that this is for housekeeping matters that we've already all decided on posting requirements. And that as board president, I feel like I would keep everyone in mind on the board and do what's best for the district. I mean, and it's just housekeeping matters. I just want to reiterate that. But we do have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Okay. So Dr. Garcia, it'd be either myself or Vice President Heredia or both of us.
And your emails are online.
Yes.
And then you have, I have your phone number now, like you just called me.
Yes, this is my personal phone number, and then I can also provide you with Vice President Heredia's number too.
If you could text me that vice president's number, there's a good chance that I may write something up tonight or early tomorrow morning and just get it to you all to look at so that then I can work on trying to get it posted as soon as possible working. And who will be the person within the district that would get this posting? I could get it to NMCEL, but I need someone from the district to do it for New Mexico REAP.
Does normally typically do that for New Mexico REAP? So the person that typically posts for New Mexico REAP would be our HR coordinator, Norma Ramirez.
Okay.
Yeah, and President Begay, just to underscore, because I know that there was hesitancy about delegation. To me, this is the housekeeping. Who do I call to get this done? Or are there any typos in this post? Those are all things that you don't have to call a special meeting for or do it in a meeting. She can just reach out to you and find out, who do I call? Or will you look at this to make sure there's not any inaccuracies or typos or things like that?
Okay. So Dr. Garcia, that would be Norma Ramirez, and I could provide you with her email and her phone number as well for the New Mexico REAP posting.
And I would imagine that the current superintendent will let her know that I would be contacting her.
Yes, he's shaking his head, yes.
And then I will, now someone from your business office will need to get in touch with me about the contract, the PO, all of that needs to be in order as well, just so that we follow procurement.
Sure, and that Mr. Corey will let the finance director know to be in contact with you regarding that.
Okay, very good.
Okay, does that cover everything, Dr. Garcia, from the board standpoint?
From my perspective, but I'll defer to council.
Okay. Elena, are we covered?
I think you guys got a lot of work done tonight. Congratulations.
Okay, thank you both. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Good luck, everyone.
All right,
And
bye-bye.
I'll be in touch.
Okay,
Thank you.
bye-bye.
Take care.
Okay, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, do I have a second? All right, we are adjourned at 6:56 PM. Thank you.